Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Profit Lifter Live. Today, we are going to be talking about cold email marketing strategies, and we are going to map out a cold email marketing campaign from top to bottom. We're not going to get into the content side today. We'll do that later. But today, we're going to be focusing on the infrastructure. We're going to be talking about our objectives, our strategy, our tracking, what we're going to set up for a funnel. Really just map out what needs to happen so that way we can start building around it and doing all this cool stuff. And the reason I'm doing this is because we're going to start a cold email marketing campaign. And I figure as I'm mapping this out, I want to show you guys what we're doing. That way you guys can be a part of the journey and start introducing your own cold email marketing campaigns. That way you can generate leads because they're cheap, they work, and it's fun. So no other reason outside of that we should be focused on. So I have some new software that we're playing around with today for our whiteboarding and for tracking what we're doing. And if you're joining me, tell me hi in the comments. Let me know where you're at. Make sure you like and follow and subscribe, do all that fun stuff that we do on social media channels while we're going through this. And we're going to jump in and start working on our cold email marketing strategy. So you can see, as you can see up here, let's make sure it's big enough that you guys can read everything. Look at my screen, making sure that it makes sense. Okay. So as you can see, I started mapping out like four things that we're going to cover. We're going to be talking about like, what's the objective? What are we trying to accomplish here? What's our strategy? So once we know what we're trying to do, then we're going to start thinking about how we're going to go about this. We're even going to get into mapping out some of our sales funnels, some of our processes, where I'm going to introduce AI into this process, everything. Tracking. So we're going to be looking through our KPIs. We're going to start setting realistic goals for all sorts of stuff like delivery rates, open rates, click-through rates, reply rates, opt-in rates, conversion rates, like exactly how many conversions we should expect for every 1,000 emails sent. And that way we can track everything and we'll be able to know how the campaigns are actually performing, what's going on with them, and where it all goes from there. So what we're going to do is we are going to start with, sorry, I'm reading off my notes over here. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we want to start with objective. Now, the reason that we want to start with objective is because sometimes you don't know what you want until you actually start doing, oh, these don't connect. Dang it. Sorry, this is new software, so I'm trying some different things here to see what will work. We're just going to create a box here. All right, because I want all of these connected so that way we can follow along and know exactly what we're doing. So the first thing we're going to look at is objective. Like, what is our goal? So to me, the first thing is obviously going to be conversions. Like at the end of the day, if it's not making me money, I don't want to do it. It's that simple. So part of this is we're going to look at, we also want to make sure that we're profitable in this. Like we don't want to invest money in software and list and all this stuff just for it to turn around and not actually work. So the objective is to obviously attain more clients. Really it. But in order to do that for our objectives, to make that work, to actually make it something that is going to be possible to do, there are some other things that we're going to need to think through. So with this, we are going to be thinking about defining our target audience, because if you don't know who you're talking to, then setting your objectives doesn't really make sense if the people that you're targeting doesn't work. So with this, we're going to define our target audience. We want to think about like demographics, like who are they? What kind of person are they? What industry are they in? Job title, company size. Are they located in a certain place? That's one thing. The next thing we want to think through is pain points. And the reason we want to think through pain points is as you start writing email copy, the pain sells. Just at the end of the day, like if you don't know what the pain is, then you're not gonna be able to speak to them exactly where they're at. So those pain points are going to be very big in this process, making sure that we're able to track that, see how that's working. And then we want to think through. We also want to think through like buyer personas. And this is going to be like decision makers, influencers, like who exactly do we want to reach out to? Who do we want to think through that? Another thing that we want to put in here is we do want to focus on profitability. If it's not profitable, then I don't want to do it. I don't want to work on it. I don't want to invest a ton of time and turn it into a core strategy if it doesn't perform the way it's supposed to. So these are going to be here's a big one too. Automation, like how can we get the most ROI with least amount of manual tasks. So we're going to think through, we're going to be working on all of this here. All right. So next thing we want to think about is we're going to move these up here so they stay out of our way. We can use them as guides as we move forward. So now we want to be thinking about actual strategies. So like, what is our strategy going to be? Like, how are we going to go about this? And this is where this starts to get pretty complex. Like if you can get the strategy side down, that and then building it, those are the tricks. But I'll tell you a little secret. While we're building this, we're actually going to be turning these into snap-ons for you guys as well. So we're going to change. Let's change. And I'm all over the place on this thing. There we go. Sorry about that. And so now we're going to think through, let's talk about strategy. Okay, so in email, if you're doing a cold email marketing campaign, the first thing that you have to think about, like one of the most important parts, kind of the core foundation of it, is going to be your list. Like, who are you targeting? Who are you going to be talking to? Like, how are you going to get these names? When you're looking at lists, there are several different ways that you can accomplish this. So we're gonna list some of these out so that we can think through them. We're just gonna call this options, and we're gonna go. First one we're gonna do is our good friends at leadslocator.com. They have lists that you can buy for pennies. It's ridiculous and pretty awesome, actually, very helpful. We're going to think through a JV list. So a JV list to me is like we have a couple different JVs that we're working with. These are going to be people that are in their database that we can kind of do co-marketing, working through and thinking through that. And sometimes in some JVs, they'll just give you access to list of their database that you can work through. So we're gonna think through purchasing. Let's think through list software as well. So list software, there are several companies out there. Shoot, now now that I say that, my brain is not giving me the names for them, but that's okay. We'll come up with this. So all right, let's Zoom Info. That's the one I was looking for. Zoom Info is one. You've got there's actually a lot of them. But we'll stick with Zoom Info just as an example, because this is something that we can research and find more of. But there are dedicated software platforms out there that you can put in exactly what you're looking for. It will create the list and start working on it. We're going to look through, so we're going to think through our list, make sure that we've got everything there. Some of the things that we want to focus on with this list is we want to make sure that we're able to find the exact demographic that we're looking for. The other thing that's going to be really helpful when you're buying, so when you get into list purchasing, and actually, I think doing this, I may have our friends at Leads Locator see if they can join us next week. We can dive into this a little bit more. But you want to think through, like, are they pre-opted in? Meaning that, have they already opted in somewhere where they have agreed to be contacted, even if they're on the do not call list? Can you track that so that, can you track that? Is it measurable? So basically what you want to make sure is that you don't get in trouble for using the list. That's all we're looking at here. The other thing that we want to look at is what data is available. These are going to be some of our qualifiers for depending on where we're going to get our list. And then we want to think about exclusivity. So when we talk about exclusivity, when you're talking about email marketing lists, a lot of the companies that are out there, they may have a database of people that have opted in, that have already come through, that they've done their marketing on and gotten people to opt in on. But then they may be selling those leads to 100 different companies, meaning you're not exclusive, meaning that there's nothing that you're going to be talking to them while 100 other people are trying to talk to them as well. So we do want to think through exclusivity, making sure that we've got all of that there. Now that we have a list and we've been able to find our sources, we know what we're looking for to be able to narrow that list down. The next thing that we want to think about is we need to think about cold email platforms. Now, the reason this is important, and I will be the first one to tell you, do not use Profit Lifter for cold emails. The reason is because a lot of the emails that are being sent out from your CRM are tied to your primary domain. If your primary, when you start getting into when we start getting into this, and this will actually be the next one, next thing that we're going to be looking at under this. But when you do this, if you use your primary domain, it's highly likely that you can end up what's the word I'm looking for? Basically blacklisted, because you get such a high spam rate. That is part of the struggle of working with cold emails. So what I recommend, and this is the one that we are, I think it's IO. This is actually the software that our team is vetting right now. Oh, it is .ai. So that is instantly.ai. And let me just show you. I'm not comfortable hopping in here yet and showing you how everything's set up, but I'll just introduce you to this company. What they do is it's actually a cold email platform that uses AI to streamline the process, help you with your warm-ups. It just has all sorts of great stuff, and it's actually it's incredibly affordable, especially when you're looking at a lot of the things. I mean, you're looking at, I don't want to do yearly. You're looking at $37 a month if you have 1,000 uploaded contacts. So, like, if you want to just start with a small list, you can start there. But you can see $97 a month. You start getting up to 25,000 uploaded contacts, 100,000 emails monthly. And this is where we're going to start, is right here on this $97 a month, because before we start getting into this, we want to make sure that we've got the ability to that we're making money from it before we jump up there. But as you can see, it's affordable. It's nice. It's easy. You can actually buy leads from them, I believe. Here, it's kind of cool. And it has its own software, its own interface that will allow you to basically come in and set everything up. So that's what we're working on, and we're working with is Instantly. So far, my team's been working on it, so I don't have a whole lot of feedback. But starting next week, we'll actually have quite a bit more feedback on that as we start digging into this. So we want to be thinking through cold email platform, and then with this, some of the other things that we want to think about that we're going to need is we're going to call these disposable domains. A disposable domain to me is just that. It's a domain that you buy. So it may be like profitlifter1.com, profitlifter2, profit7, whatever, and just have these like almost domains that we're able to go in and get set up. So we want to make sure that we've got domains for this. We want to make sure we've got that. The next thing that we want to think, yeah, we'll get into the timing of all this a little bit later, because so when you're working with disposable domains, there's about a 2-week warm-up period, is what they call it. And basically all that means is that what that means with that warm-up period is basically the amount of time it takes for the domain to be properly registered, for all of your records on the domain to be there, for it to start sending emails, for it to get some validity, get some opens, get some clicks, where you keep it like kind of a trickle, where you may be only sending 25, 50 emails at a time. And the beauty of like using a platform like Instantly is it will automatically do that. The AI will segment your list and go through it that way. So it's going to take about 2 weeks of ramping up to be able to really start turning on the campaigns. So the first, but then we need to think about, okay, and this is going to fall under some of our tracking here. All right, let's see. So now we want to be thinking through, we want to be thinking about outreach strategy. And this is where it gets fun. So with an outreach strategy, this is going to be content. This is going to be content that gets clicks. Basically, is everything that we're working on. And remember, up here we were talking about your pain points. That's where this actually ties in very well. Is right there. So that's a lot of why you want to be thinking through those pain points. Excuse me. Those pain points are going to directly turn into your content for outreach and what you're doing with that. So our outreach strategy, we're going to have to think through content. And one of the little tricks about this is think about your sales pitch. That's really what we're going to do here. Is we're going to think about our sales pitch. But I want to, instead of diving into like the whole content side and mapping through these strategies on a content level, today we're really just diving into what our structure, what our format is going to look like as we go through this. So we're gonna have an outreach strategy. We're gonna have content that focuses on that. But when a lead clicks. So from here, the other thing that we want to be looking at with this is we do want to be thinking about like what's going to happen when they get this email. So they get their first email, they click on it, what happens? I can tell you one of the first things that for me, once they click and they go, we are going to have, we're going to focus on a video landing page. We're going to call this a sales video landing page. basically a sales video is going to be anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. It could basically be like a demo, something like that. But it's really going to dive into it's really going to be focusing on driving everything. It's going to be focused on conversion. Like that's the whole name of the game. And then for us, we've got like I intentionally built our product for upsells. So we are going to our strategy, our conversion strategy, is going to be start low and upgrade everywhere. So basically, what we're going to be focusing on is we're going to be sending people to we're going to be sending them to a landing page that has a video sales letter and starts there. But the other thing that we want to focus on is, see if we can tie that in there. We can. Move to Profit Lifters. So the other thing that we want to focus on is that once they opt in, we're going to need to create an automation sequence, or once they click and they start working, we want to create an automation sequence that's going to allow us that's going to move them from Instantly or whatever platform that we're using and actually put them into our Profit Lifter account. Now, there's a couple ways to do this. I'll just share Black Hat Secrets advice with this as well. Might as well. Oh, what is that? That's not what I wanted. Hold on just a second. Let's go back to her. Sorry. That did not do what I thought it was going to do. So with this, there are a lot of people, and these are legal professionals. Some of them have actually written the laws around TCPA, some of that. But they believe that if somebody goes to your website and you have a disclaimer on there that basically like your privacy policy, your terms of use, and letting them know that, like, look, coming to our website, we are going to market to you. We are going to work on that. But we want to have a couple different strategies when they land here. So the first one is, we're going to call this click migration. And then with that, we're going to call this a cold click follow-up. Now, with our cold click follow-up, what we're going to do here is we're actually going to avoid the phone calls for right now. And what this is primarily going to consist of for us is going to be an aggressive VSL funnel, meaning that we started them here on a video, the sales video landing page that gives the overall pitch. And then from there, what we're going to do is, just like a lot of you guys who have the fundability funnels, it's the exact same strategy. We're going to have all of our videos mapped out in a way that we're going to be able to go through and send them emails that drive them specifically to those landing pages for this. And the reason that I love this strategy so much, and I think it's very underrated by a lot of people, but the reason I love this strategy so much is that, like, if you give somebody an overall pitch and they go, okay, this is kind of cool, I like this, this makes sense, but then you don't, like, in a lot of situations, your top level video sales page, your sales video is really about conversions. It's really about introducing them to the product, showing them, going through and trying to overcome the objections. But then your follow-up videos, these can be much shorter. These may be like a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. But the whole goal is to dig in deeper on each of the value propositions that you've mapped out inside of your original sales video. And again, we'll do a whole training just on content strategy with this. Because again, this is something that I'm building out for us. So as we build it for us, we're going to make it available to you. But as we're doing that, like, we're going to be mapping out all of our UVPs and including all those top level UVPs inside the video sales landing page. Then each of the follow-ups inside of the VSL, are going to be specific to that one UVP, unique value proposition. So for example, I can say, hey, look, you can have a website, CRM, blah, 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 everything for $97. Then we can jump into what's included in your website. How does it work? How long does it take to get set up? And we can start just answering questions under that one UVP with this VSL sales funnel. So what this is doing is it's giving us the ability to pitch somebody and then go, "Ooh, I love this. This is amazing." And then dive in deeper with them as we're developing content, as they're engaging with us. And the thing that you'll find with this is that, like, as it goes through the automations, you'll start to get a feel for what people are looking for, because with our tracking and everything that we have in place, we're going to be able to see, okay, you know what, everybody's clicking on, let's call it the affiliate manager. Everybody's clicking on that. Let's start focusing our content more that direction and start getting more aggressive that way. But this is stuff that we don't know until we start putting out the content. But what I wanted to do, but the reason for that rabbit trail was really simple. I just wanted to help you guys like visualize and have an understanding of what a VSL funnel would look like. And this is very top level right now, meaning that we're not looking at, like, we haven't started mapping out the strategies for any of this. This is really just about our infrastructure and what needs to happen from there. So we've got our click migration. The other thing that we're going to create another one down here, and we're going to call this one, we're going to move this down here. And we're going to call this one opt-in migration. So our opt-in migration is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be considerably different than our cold our click migration. And with this, so now we know. So we'll take a step back here because while and this this is all stuff that's in my brain that I just didn't map out. So on this sales video landing page, one thing that we want to look at is we want to think through our CTAs. Like, obviously we'll have our primary offer. The other thing that we're going to look at is like lead magnet integration, meaning that, like, as they're scrolling, they watch the video, they go through it, they love it. But as they get down in there, I want to create opportunities for them to opt in. Now, like, if you're if you have fundability, like, or the fundability scanner, this could be something amazing for you, where you could say, hey, while you're here, you want to see how your fundability looks, and get them to opt in, and then start them on a more aggressive follow-up campaign. Because again, somebody who just lands on a landing page for me, that's not a good lead yet. But once they start clicking around, they start watching more videos, we can start scoring them, and get that lead count up higher. Then now this starts to become a whole lot more robust and makes a lot more sense. But with this, we want to think through, like, what are our CTAs, primary, lead magnets. Obviously, we'll have like consultations. So like this landing page isn't going to be just a short one with a video up at the top and then a couple buttons. Like, we're going to really build out the content for this. This is going to be a long form video sales landing page. And you never know, I may just take some of those VSLs and throw them in there as well for the entire landing page, because why not? Like, if it works, if it converts, let's do it. But with our opt-in migration, some of the things, I'm going to change this color up a little bit just so it makes it easier to look at. So with this, we're going to have our opt-in migration is going to be this should be something that, like, we've already got this set up, we've already got it working, it's already in there, it's already going. Having to go through and like, I don't feel like there's a whole lot more we should need to do with this. But we still want to put them in our VSL funnel, because we do want them to, try to overcome those objections. Even if they've scheduled a consultation or downloaded a lead magnet, we still want to get all of this information in there. And then the other thing that we want to look at is instant sales, meaning how can I make money from my funnel right out of the gate? Like, how can I get somebody who lands on that ends up in a landing page? How can I get them to just basically opt in immediately with us without having to go through all the VSLs and all of that side of it? So for instant sales, we're going to put lowest offer, maybe a limited time, possibly. Low ticket offer. And your low ticket offer could be something like having a membership site or a membership area that people are able to come in and look through, or that you could resell them, stuff like that. But we want to give the options, all of this. And I'm actually going to move this around a bit because I think this actually fits a little better under here. Okay. Yeah. This is better. This is what I'm looking for here. All right. So now we're taking them here. So now we know that we're going to need to build. So this can be something, put that in blue because I know that's something we're going to have to build. That's our strategy. That's our automation strategy. That's our build list. That's what's going to go there. All right. So our outreach will send the emails, content that gets clicked. The other thing we want to think through is email cadence. We're going to call this cold email cadence. Let's start with one email every 3 days for 2 weeks. So basically what we're going to do is what would that be? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So we'll put 5. So basically it's 5 email cadence. So basically we're going to do 5. We're going to do 5 email cadence, 5 emails. And again, this is going to be content that gets clicks. We're going to be focusing on thinking through strategies. Now, if you want to talk about some strategies that I've seen work really well, some of them that I really like is like having something specific. I've been on this cold email strategy that I really like, that I think is oh, hey Suzette, sorry guys, I didn't have my things up, but hi Suzette, glad you're hanging out with me today. Fine cars. Please make this available to watch later. This will be live on, or this will be available on our YouTube channel. So some of the other things that we want to think about here is we do want to think through. We do want to have. Or sorry, I was talking about cold email strategies. Some of them that I found that I really like. Like I have this one that is like a lead generation company, something like that, and it was a really cool email because of what, like, they weren't pitching me. They basically just came out and said, hey, I'm going to be in your area. You want to grab a cup of coffee? And I was like, that is a brilliant idea because it's a neutral territory. It's face-to-face appointment. But they're offering something for free right out of the gate. And I intentionally didn't take the offer because I wanted to see what their follow-up looked like. And it progressively got better. But what they were doing is they focused on one thing. Like they weren't trying to just sell everybody everything all at one time. But their cold email was, hey, let's grab a coffee. Let's do this. So with this, the other thing that we're going to be, that we need to be thinking about is going to be split testing. Like, what are some of the different content strategies? What are some of the different ways that we can look at getting content, or what are some of the offers that we can put in front of people to get them to opt in, to get them excited about what we're doing, and ultimately make it so that we're able to convert everybody in this process and make it work, and make it just something that we can keep using for months, years, decades, however long we want. All right, so let's think through. So let's do a quick recap here. So we have our outreach strategy. We're gonna be thinking through contents that gets clicks, cold 5 email cadence. I'm going to change this one to blue because that is something that we will need to build. Split testing, that's going to be more of a strategy thing. Let me make that yellow. So here, when a lead clicks, so this is going to be our automation. From here, we want to send them to a video sales page, click migration, put them in a cold click. And I'm going to put that, and I'm going to call this no opportunity. Basically, what a no opportunity means for me is just like, I'm not going to turn this into something that I'm going to hand over to our sales team, but is what it is. Now, the other thing that we're going to look at is if opt-in, then what are we going to call these? We're going to call them setters. Setter call. And we are going to say AI because for right now, the AI inside of Profit Lifter will not allow outbound calls, but that is something that's coming soon. But if they are opted in, like I want to have our team call them like as soon as they show up on a landing page. Just pick up the phone and go, "Hey, saw that you showed up. What can we do for you? What do you want to buy from us?" Maybe a little more tactful than that. But we want to think through, like, what does this look like from a cold migration, cold click, an opt-in. We're going to call this immediate sales call. Like, we definitely want to have an outreach as soon as they opt in there. We're going to turn this one green because that's actually strategy. Okay. So what this looks like, let's just run through this. We get our list. We either buy it, we work with the JV, make sure that we have all the different data, what data is available, demographic filtering, all of that fun stuff. Make sure they're opted in. Exclusivity, make sure that we have everything there. So now we have a list. Next, we want to think through, next we need to start working on warming up our domain, getting everything set up, putting them into our software for cold emails, which we're gonna be testing out instantly. Then once we start, we'll write content that gets clicks. We're gonna have 5 email cadence, 1 email every 3 days for 2. I'm going to call this 2.1 just because my OCD side is kind of bugging me about that, for basically 15 days. Let's just call it that, for 15 days. And we're going to split test this content strategy to see what performs. Now, the next thing we want to look at, when a lead clicks, what happens from there? So the first thing is that when they click, we want to send them to a video sales landing page with call to actions. And this may be multiples. Maybe this may be something that we end up creating more landing pages for each of the strategies. But that's something that I think is going to be very clearly defined as we get into it, as we start working through that. So from there, when a lead clicks, we want to think through click migration. This is going to be an automation. This is going to be, we're going to call this a webhook automation. Basically meaning that once they click, we're able to send it to Profit Lifter using webhooks or Zapier or something along those lines, because they are 2 separate platforms that we're trying to connect. Then we need to create a cold click follow-up, which is going to be an aggressive VSL funnel. It's going to basically be the same funnel up here, but I want to define it differently because I do not want to create a sales opportunity, but I may have a setter reach out and go and work on it from there. Or if we have AI, if they have been previously opted in, we may have the AI give them a call and and really focus on scheduling an appointment, something like that. Now, the other options that they're going to have is if it's an instant sale, our strategy is going to be start low, go high, maybe throw in some limited time offers, some low ticket options. But the big one is that if they opt in, creating a sales opportunity for that. Now, once they get here, this should be enough for the sales process, because at this point, this is actually now going to kick this over, and we're going to call this sales automation takeover. So from here, once they end up here, our sales automation should be taking over from here once they have opted in, because that now ends up in the hands of our sales team, and that is going to work from there. And then the other side is that we do have, actually, we're going to create one more here because we are lacking a little bit. Okay, and this one is going to be cold email follow-up. So our cold email follow-up campaign is going to be different than what's necessarily inside of Profit Lifter. The reason that I'm thinking through this is, like, let's put together some numbers. Like, let's say you're able to buy a list of 10,000 leads for 10 cents each. So we're going to spend $1,000 on 10,000 contacts. One of the things that we're going to be doing, actually, we need to come down here. KPIs tracking. So with this, the other thing that part of what's going to be happening is we're going to be watching our KPIs. We're going to be thinking through, okay, if we have, let's say we've got a decent click-through rate, let's say, what's some good numbers here? Let's say we've got an average click-through rate for cold emails is anywhere from 1 to 5%. An average open rate lands between 15 to 30%. So if they open it, that's really what this is going to be up here, is going to be an open. We're going to call this an open migration. But we want to think about like what happens to these people who open but don't take action. The reason that I like this cold email follow-up is that, like, as you're split testing, let's see, there we go. As we're split testing, let's move this one. Sorry, my brain and my actions are not aligned here. So as we're split testing this, we're going to find out what's working. And from that, like past email campaigns, past people who have gone, we may figure out, okay, this is working incredibly well. All these, so if we've got like let's say we've got a 5 or a 10% opt-in rate, we still have 9,000 leads from this one campaign that aren't doing anything. And these are ones that, as we've split test and we're finding out what's working, we may want to reintroduce them to this new content strategy that's working through there. So this is something that, like, our big mega list that's going to be hosted, that's going to be all inside of like Instantly.ai. We're going to look at that, and we're going to just keep building that list up. We're going to keep building it out, because we're going to look through, like, what are some of the cold email follow-up strategies. And the other thing with this is the cold campaign could just maybe different strategy. It could be like new product launches. It could even be like event marketing, where if we've got like if we look up at the end of the year and we've got 100,000 people inside of our email list, like, I have no problems with saying, hey, we're doing this event, we got this live webinar coming up, hey, we're doing this challenge, come join us. like that's exactly what I want, because these are people that have been seeing our emails. They may have opened, they may have seen some stuff, but maybe they want an event. Maybe they want to spend time with us, get to know who we are, make sure it's a good fit for us. So we definitely want to have a cold email follow up. And this is going to be different than like this VSL follow up. I consider this a hot follow up. A cold follow up are people that maybe have opened, haven't engaged with anything, haven't done anything, but we want to think through that. And then the other thing the last thing that we want to think through that we're going to map out today, and we're going to think through today, is going to be like, what are our tracking mechanisms? Like, how do we know that a campaign is actually good? How do we know it's working? How do we know it's doing what it's supposed to do? So with this, some of the things that we are going to be looking at is open rates. So let's say we're going to set a goal for, we're going to set a 30% goal. We're going to call it an acceptable rate, though, 15%. So basically, we're going to set our goal at 30%, but we're going to say, you know what? If we hit 15%, we're not going to consider this a failure. We may just need to work on a couple things inside that strategy. And when you get into like open rates have a lot to do with headlines. Here we go. Open rates have a lot more to do with like headlines and what's grabbing people's attention. So if we hit 15%, I'm going to say that's acceptable. That's not terrible. And the reason that I'm going to do that, let me just map this out for you. So let's say that we have 15%. So if I know that we hit our acceptable target, our acceptable goal, now from here, I'm going to segment our next list, meaning that if I have another list of 10,000, I may look at this and go, okay, you know, we've got an acceptable rate of 15%, meaning that I know that 15% of whatever we work on, it should be coming back to us. So I may take 25% of our list, or like 2,500 people out of our list, and then focus on our split from here, because I know that I'm still going to get my 15% opt-in rate. So I'm going to keep continually running my campaign that is producing my acceptable result until I have something else that's proven to be higher. Meaning that, like, if my segment list of 25, let's say my 25% segment list, so we're going to call this our split test. So if our split test of 2,500 produces a higher result, now next month I know that is actually going to go back into my acceptable marketing list. That makes sense? Because like let's say we're able to get this up from 15 to 20%, I'm going to use that split test next month. So instead of having a 15% rate, now I know I have a 20% rate and it's doing better. And then we're going to split test different things. And the whole goal is to get it to the point where we're working through that 30%, working up to that 30% goal. Because that's the whole goal there. But we could also look at this and go, we're going to call this our BHAG, or Big Hairy Audacious Goal. And we're going to put this one we're going to call this a 50% open rate. But you can see that by working through these strategies like this, it lets us, it really gives us shoot for and something to make sure that we're actually reaching. So the next thing that we want to think through outside of open rates, let's make this a little easier to read. So we're going to have open rates. Next thing we're going to look through is our click-through rate. And we're going to call this CTR. our goal is going to be our goal here is going to be a 5% click-through rate. And so basically what this means is that if we're looking at our top lines, we send out 1,000 emails. We hit our goal of 30%. So 300 people open it. Now, 5% of those 300 click through. So that, what is 5% of 300? So 1% would be 30. No, that'd be 10%. So it'd be 15. So that means that 15 people out of 1,000 actually click through and go from there. And again, we're going to follow this exact same strategy of what we did down here with our acceptable and split test strategy, because it works. It makes sense. But we're gonna keep this same strategy. We're gonna set an acceptable rate at 1%. Where did my percentage sign go? How did I just all of a sudden forget how to use a keyboard? And then we're going to set our BHAG with this at 10%. So our goal is 5%. Acceptable is 1%, but our BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal is going to be a 10% opt-in. Next, we want to think about reply rates. Now, with your strategy, and this is really gonna fall under our content strategy. The other thing that we want to think through with this, we want to think through. We also want to be thinking through call to action strategies. I didn't even think about this till I got down here, but meaning that like. What this means is that, like, as you're sending this out, you're going to have different call to actions depending on your strategy. So it may be, hey, reply to this email, or schedule an appointment, or watch this short video. There's going to be a lot of different ways that you're going to be able to engage with people on this. So depending on your strategy, this may be something that you want to watch out for. But for now, we're gonna look at reply rates. So we're gonna put a goal of, let's say, 10%. That's our big goal. We're gonna call our acceptable. We're gonna call this 5%, and then our BHAG is going to be 15%. Let's call it 20, because we've at least doubled or kind of doubled our big ones. But that's going to be another one of our KPIs that we want to watch. Open rates, click through, reply rates. All right, beautiful. Then we want to look for opt-in. And our goal here for opt-in is going to be 5%. So with opt-in, for me, and I'm not saying this has to be for you, we're giving away a trial. And so, like, for me, I'm looking at this going, man, if I can get a 5% opt-in rate for a free trial, I'm going to be tickled pink. Like, I'm going to be loving life, because our next KPI that we're going to track is actually going to have to do with the conversion after the trial. So this, for that, is our big one is going to be 5%. We're going to make an acceptable one, 1%, and then our BHAG, our big, hairy, audacious goal. We're gonna swing for the fences here on this one. We're gonna go for 15% opt-in, because, again, remember, this is directly related to our click-through rate. This isn't our list of 10,000. This is going, okay, we do 10,000, now we've got 5% that have clicked through, meaning that 30,000. So this would be 500 that have clicked through. If we get 10% to reply, that's 50 replies. If we get 5%, that means we've got 25 people who have opted in for a free trial out of a $10,000 cold cold email lists. Now I can do the math and go, okay, if I have a list of 10,000 people and I'm able to get 25 sales out of it, now I know that if I'm charging, let's just round it up, say $100 a month for CRM access, now I know that I'm making $2,500 from one list of 10,000 people. Now I can come back here to our goals, and we're gonna be able to make sure our profitability fits and that it fits inside of our profit margins, everything that we want. The last thing that we are going to target is going to be our conversion rates. And this is the reason that we are putting this after our opt-in is because this is going to be the number of people that are going to end up staying after their free trial. So our conversion rates, historically, the goal is 5%. My goal for conversion is actually going to be 4%, meaning actually let's switch that. It's going to be 90%. And the goal is directly is going to be directly tied to the opt-in rate, meaning that my goal is that I want 90% of the people who come in to stay in. I mean, obviously I wanted 100%, but that's not that's going to be my BHAG. This is not going to happen because people they may use a credit card or a payment method that isn't valid, that they know doesn't have any money on it, something like that. But we still want it to be there. I am going to call an acceptable conversion rate 75% though, because that's going to be important. And there is one more that I thought about with this. And this is going to be campaign retention rate. And I'm going to call this campaign retention rate because that's going to be important. This is going to be how long somebody stays with us after opting in. Because I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but just because somebody buys your product doesn't mean they actually use it. We've got a lot of people that have Profit Lifter that aren't really using it. Will I be able to share this mind map? Plus, is this Miro or is this mind mapping that is new software? This is actually new software. We've actually incorporated ClickUp for our project management. And this is one of the features that's included in here. I will make sure that to get you guys a copy, I'll put it in the Facebook group. But the other side is that, like, as I'm building out this training, Suzette, these are going to be training modules that are going to be going on for a while. So we're going to be creating a membership course that just talks about this cold email marketing. And it's going to start with this one. It's our strategy. And so we'll have all this stuff printed out available for you. All right. So this last one, though, campaign retention rates, meaning that I want to specifically watch what my campaign or how long people stay with us, which is going to be good. So my goal is going to be, I love a 12-month retention. That is good for me. But I'm not going to lie, especially with cold emails, depending on our list, if I hit a 3-month retention rate with a cold email campaign, basically I'm making $300. I'm going to be making $300 off the people who are coming through. I'm going to be happy with that. Like I'm like, wish they'd stay longer. We'll work through strategies for retention strategies, things like that. But right out of the gate, if it's 3 months, I'm going to be happy with that. My BHAG though is going to be 24 months. Because if I can keep somebody for 24 months off a cold email campaign, the reason this is so good is because if I know that it costs me, like, let's say $1,000 for a list of 10,000 people, so 10% per 10 cents per record, then I know that, like, every month. Well, let's go through our math here, and I may actually, let's do this. Let's pull up a calculator while I'm going through this. So we're gonna do some simple math to make sure that we're profitable. So we're gonna buy a list of 10,000 for $1,000. So we have 10,000 leads that come through. My software cost, my domain, that approximately is going to cost me. Let's just say another. Let's just round it up and call it $200 for worst case. But it's actually going to be closer to like $115, $110. But we get a list of 10,000, and let's just say let's take worst case and we hit our acceptable. So we're going to go times 0.15 for 15%. Now we have 1,500. We've got 1,500 people who have opted in. Our click-through rate is 1%. So we're going to go times 0.01, meaning we've had 15 people that have clicked through out of that list. If they reply, 0.05 means we're down to 1. The reply rate, I'm going to put this up here. This reply rate, now that I'm looking through this, actually does not make sense for my major metrics that I'm looking at here. Because a reply, that's an engagement that may get them into our sales funnel, which is good. It's something I want to watch, but it doesn't impact my opt-in for our trials, any of that. So we'll dig into that a little bit more. So we had 1,000 people opt in. We have a 1% click-through rate. That's right. We have 1,500 people here open. Click-through is 1%. So we have 15 people who have opened. Opt-in rate is 5%, so times 0.05. So we're at 0.75%. You can see how this acceptable rate needs to be adjusted, because now we're not going to make anything off of this, off of these acceptable rates and what we're spending. But that's why we're doing this. And now that we see this, now we can start saying, okay, we need to up these numbers. So let's rework our math. We're going to put it off of our goal rate. So we have 30% opt-in, or 30% open means 3,000 people are going to look at our emails. Out of that, we're going to have 5% that click through. So we're going to have 150. We want to have 150 people who are clicking through. Out of that 150, we're going to have 5% opt-in for the trial, meaning we're going to round that up. We're going to call it 8 people that are going to be opted in for the trial. If we keep this at a 90% conversion, that rounds out to 7. And if we hit our retention goal, so now we have 7 times $97. Now we know we made $679 off of this for just the first month. Now, if we hit our goal, and I'm going to adjust this goal. Let's make this. We're going to adjust this goal just a little bit. So now we're making. Let's say we hit our goal of 6 months. So now we've made $679 a month for 6 months, meaning this $1,000 investment over a 6-month time frame now produced $4,000 and $4,074. So basically, we've got about a 4%. Our return on investment, we spend $1,000, we get back about $3,000 in profit, which I'm okay with that. That is a perfectly acceptable return on investment for me. So there we go. Now we have our cold email marketing strategy mapped out. We haven't started building yet, but that is our next goal, is to start working on building, start putting all this stuff in there. So as we're working through this, make sure to follow along, because we're going to be doing this every Wednesday for the month of December. We're going to be building this out. And then on Friday, we're going to be able to, on Fridays, we're going to be focusing on answering questions, doing some building, bringing on some guests like my friends at Leads Locator. We're talking with them. They've actually got some really cool stuff that they've just rolled out that we're excited about doing a JV with them on that. So make sure you hang out and you stay tuned with us. Suzette, I'm going to see if I can export this for you. Okay. All right. Let's see if that actually worked. Look at that. I do have this. Ooh. All right, I'm gonna post this in. I'll post this in our Facebook group for you guys to have access to. So that way, if you guys want to start working on this, the other thing that we are working on though is the reason that we put this out here is because we're going to be turning all this into a Snap-on during the month of December, and because we're building this for ourselves, while we build it for ourselves, we'll turn it into a Snap-on for you. So we're going to be a couple steps ahead. We're going to be running our first campaign. We're actually starting to warm up our emails now. So about the 18th. So we'll have about 2 weeks of runtime ahead of me, ahead, so that we can see exactly how it's all working. And but we're going to be building Snap-ons and having fun. So make sure you hang out with us as we're going through this, because there are lots of cool things that we're doing with this. So